Greetings, everyone. I am Candace Howard, the 78th Miss Fort Valley State University, and I would like to welcome you to the John W. Davison Lecture Series. In honor of our first lecturer for the 2016-2017, Dr. Steve Perry. Dr. Perry, we appreciate you for taking the time to visit our university and look forward to hearing your presentation this weekend. Once again, to everyone I say, welcome.
At this time, we will have the occasion by Mr. President Lawrence Malloy. Give him a bigger round of applause than that, y'all. Come on. Let's give it up. There we go.
Good evening, Fort Valley State University. It is always great to be a FVSU Wildcat. It gives me great pleasure to stand before you on this special occasion. Through this outstanding series, we honor the life of John Wesley Davison, leader of the founders of Fort Valley State College and the first principal of Fort Valley High and Industrial School. Established in 2002, the purpose of the John W. Davison Lecture Series is to emphasize to students and others that education extends beyond the classroom. The lecture series provides the opportunity to showcase individuals who have become successful in their chosen fields of study. As a result, this series will help students to see a direct connection between their experiences as undergraduates and the abundance of opportunities that exist in the world. This evening, we are honored to have our guest speaker, Dr. Steve Perry. Dr. Perry. Dr. Steve Perry here with us. So please enjoy this special program. Thank you.
You guys know he's hardworking, so give him grace. There you go, that's support. Guys, please pay attention. This is important. The time is now, more than ever, to listen and to take heed to the advice. And for someone to take their time, for Dr. Lawrence, I appreciate you for taking the time, for getting this lecture series together. It is important to see somebody that looks like me, successful, and taking the time to come out and speak. At this time, we will have the introduction of our speaker by our very own Madam Vice President, Anita Ingram. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, you guys. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to y'all Dr. Steve Perry. Dr. Steve Perry has become a national icon in the educational revolution, a change agent who is tireless in his fight for providing equal and competitive opportunities for children who otherwise would not have a voice. His mission is simple: high-quality education with college-bound opportunities for children in poverty. It is his belief that in order to best educate a child, you must treat them and their family as your family. He exemplifies this practice throughout his works in schools with the communities throughout the country. Dr. Perry's commitment to excellence started as a former principal of what U.S. News and World Report has cited as one of the top schools in the country, Capital Preparatory Magnet School in Hartford, Connecticut. Capital Prep has sent 100% of predominantly low-income minorities, first-generation high school graduates to first-year colleges ever since the first class graduated in 2006. Subsequently, this success led to the start of the Capital Preparatory Schools in 2012 with objections to open schools that provide many low-income families with educational experiences that he considers as a right, not just an opportunity. As head of schools, Dr. Perry has been instrumental in advocating for developing and opening Capital Preparatory Harbor School in Bridgeport, Connecticut for its 2015-2016 school year. His organization will also be opening a Capital Preparatory Harlem School in the 2016-2017 school year and will continue to open high-quality, high-performance schools. Dr. Perry is completely committed to closing the educational inequities that plague our youth and families in the low-income communities. He considers the current state of education as being in crisis. When he speaks, it is a call to action to ignite urgency to save children. His words are personal, brilliant, and heartfelt, motivating people throughout the country to take action and become active in educational reform to save our communities. His passion, advocacy, and commitment to education can also be seen through his educational works. CNN's Black in America series, education contributor for CNN and MSNBC, and Essence Magazine's columnist and host of the #1 docudrama for TV One, Save My Son. He shares his keys to success and calls to action in his latest best-selling book, Push Has Come to Shove, getting our kids the education they deserve, even if it means picking a fight. Without further ado, please help me welcome our speaker, Dr. Steve Perry.
Thank you very much. It's far to get here. There's no easy way to get to Fort Valley. And I have to tell you, in the brief time that I've been here on campus, one of the things that I've seen is that there's a closeness that I don't often see. I'm very fortunate in that I get to visit many colleges, but not many colleges give me that feel that this is a family. Much respect to you, Fort Valley, because you are the Fort Valley State University. Typically, when I'm having a conversation like this, what I get the chance to do is talk about some pretty big topics, and we push the envelope. But I think what's important to note is I like a fair too, and I know that you like a fair, so I'm not going to hold you long. But what I am going to do is I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you to recognize that the most revolutionary thing that you could ever do is educate a black person. The most powerful image that is cast upon the world stage is a black educated person. A black person who's willing to not just push themselves through to be educated, but to stand as an educated person. It's all too easy to play down to the stereotypes of our community. It's all too easy to allow somebody to paint us as something that we know that our Creator never made us out to be. We allow ourselves more often not to play up negative stereotypes, even on fantastic college campuses such as these. I go and I speak in different places, but my real job is working with kids. Some people call me controversial, and what makes me controversial really, truly is that I have not been convinced that black people are stupid. I cannot be convinced that just because you grow up with one parent or no parents, just because your parents had you on their 15th, 16th, or 17th birthday, just because you live in a place that people say they don't ever want to go, that there's nothing wrong with you. I can't be convinced that you deserve to be hated on. But on the same token, one of my challenges is that when I come to campuses such as these, I find young brothers and sisters who cannot embrace the beauty of our community. I struggle mightily to understand how somebody makes it all the way to Fort Valley State and still calls himself a thug. What in the hell is going through your mind when your black ass thinks that it's a good idea to take the ACT pre-calculus and know that you were on the swim team the year before you got here? Ain't no thugs rocking a Speedo. I'm so sick and tired of you claiming the hood. You ain't that hood. You on a college campus. You got a meal plan. Who pledges an organization to then have a beef with somebody else? You don't even know them. Finally, you've made it. You are it. You the whole game. You everything that the black community is hoping you would ever be. And you come here and you do things you've never even done before. You trying on some stuff. Folks back home wouldn't even recognize you. I drop you off back in your hood and they're like, not this dude. See, the problem is that so many of us are afraid of becoming the very beautiful revolutionary that we've been born to be. We allow ourselves to be painted into an intellectual ghetto in which we begin to think that the only way that you will call us black is if we act a way that only black people don't even act. Ignorant people act like that. And they come in all colors. See, the most revolutionary thing that you can do, honestly, is to own that you are beautiful and powerful, not to play dumb. Why would you come to college to sleep in when you got class? Oh, you don't have to clap. I'm all right with it. I'm a grown man. We ain't got to get along. But what I recognize is this. Those who stay asleep won't stay woke. And those of us who are playing down to the negative stereotypes are destroying every single opportunity for the little brothers and sisters who come behind y'all. See, what I really do is work with kids. And when I say I really work with kids, just because Puff and I started a school together, I don't want you to think it's different than any other place. We opened a school in Harlem where one of my young men robbed another young man in the 7th grade. I got another young man who's currently in prison for allegedly shooting into a crowd. I ain't got time for college thugs. I'm over it. I ain't got time for college thugs, people who don't want to be beautiful and brilliant, don't want to build up the other people around them. We got enough people coming at us. Why us? Coming at each other. For me to be at Fort Valley, for me to be here, it takes a lot. Because there are so many things that matter to me that I don't get to participate in tonight. So in order for me to be here, you have to mean a lot to me. Everything I've heard about you has inspired me. This is a place that builds revolutionaries. And if you dare challenge yourself to be something more than the young lady who everybody thinks is pretty, to be less concerned about the way you look in your clothes and more concerned about the way you act in your community, that you show the pride and respect that are necessary. Because listen, I'm going to tell you, What brothers say that they want in a girlfriend, it ain't always what they want from a wife. So you play yourself if you want to, little sis. But the truth is that unlike any generation before you, your decisions live forever. And so you must respect yourself enough to be put in a position to be respected at all times. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself to do that most revolution of all things, to show yourself as a smart black woman. You know, I see brothers, I see the numbers. Y'all are doing all right. Even unattractive men like me should be able to do all right on a campus like this. I get it. The numbers are working to your advantage. I get it. But don't win because there ain't nobody else here to beat. Win because you're the brother that's worth being with. Don't be about potential. Potential doesn't pay bills. Nobody got fed off of potential. Whole bunch of people walking around with broken promises from fathers who never amounted to anything. If you hate that brother for what he did to you, don't do it to anybody else. See, I want you to be the revolutionaries you were born to be, and I mean revolutionaries because for you to be educated in a system in a time where they're mowing us down like targets in the streets, when breaking down in your car can get you dead in the United States, if you don't see that the game is up, then something is wrong with you. Every week it seems like somebody else is getting hurt by people who are supposed to protect and serve. We have an obligation to rise up in a way in which we've never risen up before. Because for too many years, what we do is we rise up and sit right back down when a couple people get a good job on a college campus. I need you to rise up and stay up. I need you to rise up and stay focused on what it is that you need to do, that you need to put yourself in a position to not just work somewhere, because anybody can make a living. I'm asking you to make a life. The way you make a living is you pay your bills. The way you make a life is you pay your debt. Not one of you got here by your damn selves, and you need to recognize that. If you could understand, and I truly mean this, some of the parts of the challenge that I'm faced with is to get you to see things that are just a couple years away. If you could see how hard the staff and faculty here are working on your behalf. If you could understand that they got 2, 3, and 4 jobs, departments of one, that's not normal. I'm just letting you know. I'm going to be at a large, predominantly white college tomorrow morning. Ain't no departments of one. They don't do it like that. But what they don't have is what you have. They've never overcome what you've overcome. What you do in the course of a day, it could take them the rest of their lives. What have scarred the souls of so many serve as a marking for you of when it used to be. You put things in your rearview mirror that other people will crumble. There are things going on in your lives. Don't think that I don't know this. There are things going on in your lives right now that when you call home, it is about life or death. You got friends and family who are coming in and going out of prison. You got people who are willing to put a second mortgage on their house but won't send you $50 to stay here in school. You go home sometimes to people who seem like they hate on you simply because you go to college. Like you did something wrong. You cannot understand. You come home trying to say, no, I'm not different. I'm still cool. I still do what you do. The truth is, you are different. You are. Not better. Don't you ever let yourself think you're better than any human being, but you are different. You can't spend this much time on a fantastic college campus like this around brilliant young black people and not be made different. You can't be in this place where young people are reading and stretching their minds and imaginations to become something that wasn't even thought of before. You are sitting next to somebody who's dreaming of something that's never even been dreamed. Though the paths around this college campus have been traveled by many a revolutionary, not one has ever been you. See, what I need you to understand is in order for you to make it here, there's something extraordinary about you, because the system is set up to make sure that you don't get here. And once you get here, it's set up to make sure that you don't stay here. And if you stay here, it's set up to make sure you don't get into the middle class. Let me break it down to you just so you understand. Over 90% of African Americans, over 95% of African Americans will go to a traditional public school, a neighborhood public school. Most of us will go to public schools in which the majority of the students are black, and in many cases poor. In those very same schools, because I want you to understand how you've been played. I want you to see, because I don't want you to give up. I don't want you to let up. I don't want you to bow down and feed into this foul system that is set up to destroy you. I want you to really get it, because it's real. You've been played. Those school systems are set up to send children to school who come from a particular neighborhood. The reason why they were set up in 1635, you may remember that time, that was when we were in chains. The same public school system that was set up in 1635 in Boston, Massachusetts, with the foundation of Boston Latin, the first American public school, the first school that was used public money to run a school. The same system said that we in this community will serve only ours. And so let me tell you what that system has produced all the way through today. It is the school to prison pipeline. It doesn't happen by accident that so many of us end up in this justice system. An African American in the American public school system only makes up 12% of the American public schools. Yet 40% of all expulsions are African American. 70% of all arrests in schools are of African Americans and Latinos. We are 3.5 times more likely to be suspended, twice as likely to drop out. See, because what happens is all that time that you spend out of class means that ultimately you end up not being able to keep up with the class, which means that it increases your probability of dropping out of school. In many of the schools from which you come, less than 5% of the children were reading, writing, and doing math on grade level. That's a 95% fail rate. Of those who are in prison in the United States of America, almost 50% in some states are African American. We don't make up 50% of any state. And of those people who are in prison, 75% of them are functionally illiterate. Those of you who make it out and don't end up in that system, over 75%, almost 80, actually 86% of African Americans who took the ACT were deemed not college ready. When I say to you that the system was set up to make sure that you don't make it, in order for you to physically be on this college campus, enrolled in school, you had to do something extraordinary. There's nothing typical about you. You are the epitome of a revolution. You have taken the system and beaten it. By your very presence on this campus, you have proven that the system can be beaten, that in fact there is a crack in the matrix. You have accepted that you will not take the red pill. You recognize that you cannot accept the reality that was put before you, but in fact, you are here to define a new reality. That, brothers and sisters, is a revolution. You, during these times, when you are competing not just against people in Georgia or in the South or in America, but the world, you see that our community is still being hunted down as it was back in 1635, that our children are still being forced to go to schools that nobody would send their child to if they had a choice. You're here now. You are this close. But what happens, unfortunately, is because so many of us have been indoctrinated with the internalized racism that makes us think that the only way that we can be black is to somehow be hard or tough. Many of us give up right here. You are this close. If you knew how close you were to living your dreams, you couldn't stop. You'd speed up. If you had any sense, and I say this with all due respect, if you had any sense how close you are, there's just a couple decisions that you still have to make. One of them is who you're going to ride with for the rest of the ride. A lot of y'all got to separate yourselves from people who you love. Some of you brothers have to separate yourselves from this young lady who says, you know, she wants somebody who's intelligent hoodlum. They're like jumbo shrimp. Well, you know, I want somebody who could stick up for me. Really? I don't want to fight when I go out. I put on some clothes. I ain't trying to fight for you. Maybe you need to shut your damn mouth. If we're going to get scraped, I don't get put clothes on for that. Each one of us has to make a decision. Young ladies, you're going to have to decide if you want that bout to brother in your life. I'm about to get a record deal. We about to take this YouTube, we about to take it to a whole nother level. I'm about to get signed. They about to live in their mother's basement and call it their apartment. See, for the rest of the ride, in order for you to get to the next place, what you have to do, what you must do, is accept that there's something very special about you. In order for you to make it here, you have done something extraordinary. If you could just imagine, I recognize you've been living in your own skin for as long as you have, and so you don't recognize just how powerful your existence is. The very fact that you will walk across a stage and get a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or a doctorate or whatever degree you are pursuing shows that that system couldn't stop all of us. And so we end where we began. When Puff started the network called Revolt, one of the reasons why he chose the name is because he understood that every revolution starts with education, and if he could get information in the minds of our community, then he could in fact help to uplift the community. By virtue of the fact that you now have information that you either knew or was, and therefore was confirmed or is new, you understand that in order for you to have made it here, you had to be put on by somebody, and therefore you got to go back and start making some lives. I'm not asking everybody to get involved in education. That's not everybody's calling. A lot of y'all, even some of y'all in the ed school, may want to consider something else, because some of y'all might suck at teaching. And that doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that everybody has to decide what it is they do, and simply because you decide, you should decide in part based upon your capacity. But we all have an obligation. Every single one of us has an obligation to live out our true meaning as revolutionaries. Whether your revolutionary is a revolution of one in which you stand up for what it is you believe in and you make yourself known as somebody who's powerful and capable, and that you stand fast as an educated African American, if you did only that, you would have done more than most people will ever do in their lives. Look, man, I come from the same kind of family as a lot of y'all. My grandmother and grandfather had a 2nd and 3rd grade education. I, like you, have watched grown people say, well, I can't really read this without my glasses. You're like, but auntie, you got your glasses on. I sat through church announcements where they read and you think, that's really not reading. I've been there. It's where I live. It's what I am. And I can't see what's happening to our community and just stand by and watch it happen. I'm allergic to losing. It ain't my color. And my hope is that you are too. My sincere hope and prayer is that you have the sense of self to understand that you don't have an option to be ignorant. You don't have an option to play down. You are the best that we have. There's nobody coming off the bench, man. You the starters and you gonna play the whole game. Which means that every single day you have to use every single moment to get better. And when I say better, I'm not asking you to be saints. You know, y'all gonna do what you is Friday night. Y'all gonna do what you gonna do, or Thursday, whatever day it is. Have fun. And I really mean that, have fun. But recognize that you gotta wake up in the morning with whatever decisions you make tonight. And everybody who came in on that decision at night may not be there in the morning. And so I'm telling you, I want you to enjoy your life. Revolutionaries Party. But we celebrate success. I can't have any more y'all walking around thinking that you can hashtag your way into a movement. A march that ain't going nowhere is a parade. For you to be the truly educated revolutionaries that you were born to be, then you have an obligation to make yourself better, to stand up as an example of the very best that our community has to offer. You have no idea how many kids, nephews, nieces, cousins, and them as a group. Kids around Fort Valley look at you. They look at you like you are superheroes. When y'all go down to 5 Points, the metropolis of shopping down there, when you in the store and you got your Fort Valley State on, they see you. God, they see you. And I promise you, these little boys and little girls saying, I'm going to be like them one day. Give them something worth emulating. In your very presence, in your very person, stand up and be a good dude. Hold the door for us, sister. Walk on the outside so she walks on the inside. And young ladies, don't give it away on the cheap. Ain't nobody ever held on to anything that they got for a bargain. I tell you what, I know we get a revolution in academics if all the sisters here said, until the GPAs go up, these draws ain't coming down. There'd be study groups everywhere. Cats be calculating their GPA, saying after class, "Can I redo this test?" Listen, all I'm saying to you is we got to hold each other to a higher standard. That's really what it is. We got to hold each other to a higher standard. We deserve that. You deserve that. You deserve for somebody in this room to look at you and say, "You know what, you better than that." You ain't got to go out like that. I'm not judging you. In fact, it's the opposite of judging you. I'm saying you're that dope, you're that cool, you're that amazing. I want you to always look like yourself. Ain't nothing cool about you playing down. Education is not just what's going to happen in your classroom, it's what's happening on campus. The way you respect yourself and respect this community. The way you stand up for what's good and right. The way in your very presence you represent power. Real power, a sense of self, a sense of ownership. So again, I end where I began. The most educated people among us are the true revolutionaries. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
My GPAs went up right there. All right, at this time, I'm going to ask you guys to please govern yourselves accordingly. We are in an academic setting. We will have time for 5 questions just to keep the time simple so you guys can go and get your funnel cakes and your elephant feed and all that stuff. 5 questions. Do we have a mic on hand? Doc, Mr. Moore, there's not a mic. I'll just have to come down. Come down. Oh. Okay. Y'all send me up. Tell you what, anybody want to come up on stage and just ask a question?
Right from where they are.
Oh, all right. We can do it where you are. Raise your hand, we'll call you. All right, yes, sir, in the back. If you please stand up and state your name and your major.
I tell you, Gary, give it up for Gary, please. Now, young ladies, brother stands up in the audience like this. Y'all, he should be looking real cute right now. Should be you thinking GPA on this one. So, what motivates me, Gary, and I mean this sincerely, what motivates me is you. I recognize that you're out there. You and the other students here truly represent the very best that our community has to offer. You're truly amazing. And my belief is that as soon as you genuinely recognize that, and I'm not talking about the people who run around talking about, you know, who doesn't get tired of the person running down their resume every time you talk to them? Well, I'm the president. I get it. Relax. Pump your brakes. Smart guy. No one needs that. But people who truly live humbly and work really hard, which is what most of you do. As soon as you recognize, and I mean truly own what it is that makes you powerful, your life becomes amazing. I'm telling you, I know what it's like. See, you're looking at a free black man. I started my own schools. I work for myself. I own my house, lock, stock, and barrel. I only pay taxes. I don't steal. I don't hustle. I never have. You can do good things and live well. And you can live the life that you could have only dreamed. I so often just want y'all to understand what is on the other side of this. If you just knew, and the grown people here just say, if you knew how close you are, you're right there. I'm telling you, you have no idea how close you are to it. You're right there. And so for me, especially to come to black college campuses is important because I recognize that for many young black people, we're still trying to figure out what it means to be black. We're still trying to figure out the juxtaposition of a history in this country of degradation and the high highs that we know we've achieved. We're still trying to break into industries in which we have not necessarily established a foothold. We're still trying to feel comfortable in spaces where we may be the only person of color, period. We're still trying to make sense of what that feels like and how we live in that space. What does it actually mean to be black? How far away do you move and still feel like you're part of the community? So for me, this is why I wake up. I believe that each one of us has been given a gift or a blessing, and mine is that I see the truth. I just call balls and strikes. So I see the truth in you, brother. I see the truth. You're gonna go back there and then come up here. Yep.
Hey, how you doing, brother? My bad. My name is D. Cooper. My major right now is undecided. But I wanted to ask you about, like, when it comes to brothers in your community, how far do you feel you need to go to help rehabilitate a lost brother? Like, someone that, you see the light in people. Someone, you see the light in them, but they don't see the light. How far do you feel that you should go to help that brother see the light that he has?
That is the question I know is on so many people's minds. Y'all, I'm saying to the faculty just for a second, y'all are really lucky to work here. I'm just telling you right now, the faculty here, you guys are really, really, really lucky. Period. Like, you just have no idea how lucky you are to work here. So, this is one of the most difficult decisions that we've all had to make while on campus or in college. I remember getting that phone call. I'll take a quick second. So when I was in college, in my first semester, senior year, I had run out of money. And I grew up in public housing. So a lot of my friends who I was growing up with were hustling. And it's just what they did. It wasn't that I was at the time even morally opposed to it. I don't drink or smoke, but I wasn't, I figured that's how they make their money. I'm not standing outside. I live in Connecticut. Standing outside in the winter is just not cool. It's cold. I'm not standing outside waiting for somebody with an addiction to come up to me and it's just not what I'm doing with my afternoon. But one of my brothers, my brothers too, but one of the brothers I grew up with, when I would come home from school, he'd call me college boy, and he was like, "What's up, college boy? You need some money?" And we'd do this thing back and forth, and I'd be like, "Nah, man, I'm good. I don't want your dirty money." We just joke about whatever. We played football together. We grew up together. We rode bikes and maybe stole a couple bikes together. We were just like you never took a bike. It's really yours when you paint it. So he was someone who, I knew we loved each other. I didn't like what he did, but I just respected that he was trying to do what he felt like he had to do. And what happened was, in my senior year when I ran out of money, I came home and I saw him, and he said the same thing he would always say to me, you need some money. And for the first time, I was like, And so I said, "Nah, I'm good." He said, he could see, because you know your friends. Like, ladies, I'm gonna share with you a little brief. So when men have troubles, we don't like talking about them. I know that's news to you. I know it's a news flash. For you want to talk it through. You take something that took 35 seconds to occur, you talk about it for about an hour. You think that men want to do the same thing. These young brothers do not want to talk, especially to you. They need some space, and they will really like if you stop talking a lot. And so as men, what happens is we see a brother who's hurt, we say, you good, that's it. That's the whole conversation. That's the whole entire conversation for months. We ain't even coming back to that again. So in his case, what he did was he said, I told him how much I needed, and it was $3,500 at the time. I'll never forget the amount. And I figured if I told him how much it was, he would just let it go, because it was Friday afternoon, and I needed the money by Monday anyway, so it was like no way it was going to happen. He wasn't that big. And so, and that deep in the game. And so he said to me, pause for a second, he said, well, can I get it to you by Monday morning? Let me explain to you what happens here. For so many of us who grew up with, or who are still growing up with, people who we know are good dudes. Like, you know this is a good dude. You know he's smart. You know he was in the same class as you. He just zigged when he should have zagged. There's just a couple things that if he would just do them, if he would just try. So many times we have to make this decision over and over again. I did not take the money. And at that time I recognized that I had essentially dropped out of college. And I went back to my college I left Sunday because I knew he would meet me on Monday, and then if I saw the money, I didn't know what I was going to do. So when I went back to the college, I ended up making a scene and going into the president's office. Don't do that. Your president doesn't deserve that. And he found the money for me. But the part of the story that's relevant to what you're talking about is there are people who we genuinely love, and we're at a point now, we're trying to figure out, how do I really go on with my life knowing that this person came this far with me? The litmus test that you got to put them through is if you see them genuinely putting the work in. You cannot come off your path and change your habits to fix their life. And let me be specific about that. You have a lifestyle right now. You have classes, you might have girls, you got sports maybe, you got internships. Those are the things that are in your path. That's how you spend your time. If he, she, they will not adapt to your schedule and path and responsibilities, then inevitably they're going to take you off of your path, and that's bad for them. You can't help somebody from the bottom of the ditch. It's easier to pull somebody up from up top than it is to push them from behind. That's not just a metaphor, that's actual. Because your feet are firmly planted in a place where you can help them. And it's tough. I have relatives, very close relatives, who I had to stop messing with. Just because it didn't seem like they were gonna get it in this time. Now, if they come back around and they're at least doing some of the things with their life in a productive way. So let's say your man, I'm just using you as an example. Let's say your man, he's working, he's putting as much work in his career as you are in yours. You're in school, he's got a job. Okay, so y'all are doing it at the same time. Now we can talk. Now we're doing something. He might enroll in community college, or he might do some online classes, or he might be at barber school, or whatever it is. Okay, you know what? My man's gonna be successful because he's putting time into his career. But if all he's hitting you with is why it can't happen, why people are hating on him, and why he's got to take the shortcut, do not mess with people who are taking shortcuts. They're going to lead you down a dark path, and you're going to end up jammed up. All of us have done it. Listen, I got to be real with you. There are people who to this day I can't put in my car. I cannot put them in my car because they don't care about me like I care about them. They'll have something on them. And I may not be the darkest person in this room, but I'm dark enough to get pulled over. And all I need is his black ass to have something on him that none of us need to try to explain. And I'm telling you that for real. These are real practical examples. Somebody who will put you in a tough situation, you can't ride with them. Listen, and I'm being real, cats who I knew who were in the game doing stuff like that, when they were around me, out of respect for my circumstances, knowing what it was that I wanted to do, they would leave whatever they had alone. If he doesn't respect you, if they don't respect you enough to recognize that your path cannot be impacted by their bad decisions, then they are not good right now. They're not ready right now. And that's a hard thing, because it's even harder, right? So you're talking about peers. Let me tell you what I have to do every single day. I got to look up and determine whether or not I'm going to keep investing in this 12-year-old or this 13-year-old. That's a real hard one right there, because they got all their life ahead of them. But I have to look at the whole team. I got to look at the whole school. I got to decide if this kid is going to keep making it this hard on everybody, then we got to do something different. Some people have to fall on their entire ass. They got to fall down and recognize that the ground is hard and cold. And you can't explain it to them, because you can never want success for them more than they want it for themselves. So the final part is, because this is the thing, and I'm telling you, there are people who will call you tonight and say, hey, can you come home and braid such and such's hair? And you will go, and you are crazy. No, I have schoolwork. I got stuff to do. Oh, you think you're better than us? Anybody who would pierce their lips and say something so stupid, don't talk to them. I'm dead serious. Anybody who would try to make you feel bad for doing good, you cannot be around them. They are poison. They got something wrong with them. You can't do that to yourself. They exist to rip you apart, and they can't help themselves. They do it to anybody. They do it to anybody. So between them being on the wrong path, doing something different, they got to be living the same lifestyle as you. If you spending 10, 12, 14 hours doing what you got to do to get your life together, then they got to be spending 10, 12, 14 hours getting their lives together. On the same token, they have the same disposition as you, positive and focused on the front. You don't need somebody running around talking about, man, remember when I scored that touchdown? No, I don't. And I don't want to talk about it anymore. Damn, man, talk about something else. What you doing tomorrow? Why are we talking about what you used to do? All right, next question.
My name is Nicholas Taylor. I'm majoring in math, minoring in business. I am in the Army ROTC. I'm wondering, what can we do to impact society, change the way they view us, and to let them know that we are a race not to take lightly?
You just did it. You just did it. By being here, by doing what you did. Your very existence is evidence that we cannot be beaten. That no matter what this country threw at us, and no matter what it continues to throw at us, it simply cannot stop us. The only people who can stop black people are black people. That's right. Thank you so much, Fort Valley. I really love y'all. I really do appreciate you.
Young lady.
Okay, there's a young lady telling me.
Okay. My name is Nola Carter. I'm a biology major, and I also play on the basketball team. You kept repeating how we're so close to getting to the success that's meant for us, but it seems like every time we get a little closer, it gets a little harder. So what is some advice that you can give us about getting over hardships?
So, you know, that's a great question, man. I am so jealous of you. I'm so jealous of your husband and the team that y'all have. You guys are really lucky. Wow. Just for the record, I'll take a commercial break. So I have a couple schools that I run up in Connecticut and in New York, and we're always looking for talented, smart people, especially people who are interested in educating our community. So I'm telling you right now, from me to you, you got an open invitation, Fort Valley. You want to teach, you want to work in our education system, I promise you, because you're the only thing that's stopping me from growing. If I have as much talent as you guys have in this room, I'll open as many schools as I possibly can. I absolutely promise you, I'll open as many as I can, as long as I have talent like this in the classroom. All right, to your question, sis, I want you to understand something. It's a cliche, but it's real. It's always darkest before the dawn. The devil, what he does, he really does this. He makes it right before it happens seem like it's not going to happen. I'm telling you, just as you approach the door, it seems like, I'm telling you, I've seen it myself. My cousin would say, I seen it. I seen it myself. And what that specifically means is just like when a woman is having a child, right before she has the child is not the easiest time, you dig? But it's about to be over. And it's that same pregnancy of opportunity that all of us experience. It's right before you give birth to this opportunity. It's right when it happens. That's how you know you're doing it right. See, the easy path, that's the way the devil will take you. The easy path is the one that has you think, like, wow, why is it so easy? Because you are doing it wrong. The reason why there's so few people who can honestly say with a clear heart and conscience that they are successful is because very few people have struggled. I'm telling you, anybody in this room who calls themselves successful will tell you about the struggles that they had. A very good friend of mine, his name is Steve Harvey. He and I are finishing up his new book. I just did the last draft today. It's really good. Support the brother. He's a good dude. So we're just working on it today. He's got, I'm telling you a little bit about, I'm giving y'all inside stuff. So look, so he's got this story in there because you're going to want this book. He talks about how he was homeless for a number of years, how he used to live in his car, how he used to wash up in hotel bathrooms. And how one day, when he was washing up in the bathroom, he heard some people coming, like some businessmen coming in. So he jumped into the stall. And he had his shirt off and everything. So he's soaped up. So literally hand soap. He's washing his body with hand soap. Steve Harvey. Not 100 years ago, as an adult in his 30s. So he's washing himself up. And these guys were at a conference apparently, and not just one came in, then another one came in, and another one. A bunch of these guys are in suits and they're in the bathroom. He's in the stall. And he's sitting there with all this soap on him. And he's going around telling jokes. That's all he's doing. Send a couple dollars home. But he's got nowhere to be because he's got kids. He's already a father of 3 children at this time. And he's homeless. And every time he calls somebody back home, they're saying the same thing. Why don't you come up off that dream? Why don't you let that go? Why don't you just quit? So as he sat there on a toilet, virtually naked, with just soap on him, listening to these men out there, he said, God, this is it. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. He says at that point, that he heard the voice inside him, God, as what he calls it, says, do not quit. Everywhere, whatever the religion you read and whatever fable you hear, those people who have the greatest success paid the most for it. Every single person. That's how you know you are among the chosen. The fact that you have to fight so hard against people who you think, damn, man, ain't you on my team? Ain't you supposed to be my mother? Ain't you supposed to be my father? Wow. You are simply being prepared for a bigger battle. There's no sense of wasting all this training on the weak. There's no sense of wasting this training, honing the crafts of somebody who's not going to fight a bigger battle. So right now, because it seems hard, that's the reminder. I'm right where I'm supposed to be. I'm almost there. As an athlete, you know, it's those last couple suicides that hurt the most. It's not the first ones, right? It's the last ones, right? But that's how you know it's almost over. But recognize those suicides and the struggles that you go through are only preparing you for a stronger, harder opponent. So feel blessed. Feel fortunate that the Creator has chosen you to fight these battles, because He could have chosen somebody else. So you're almost there. As long as you stay focused, do not be deterred. And the way in which you end up deterred is allowing yourself to be surrounded by people who will, and I mean they can't wait to tell you how you're not going to make it. And so at that point, what Steve says he did after they left the bathroom, he drove almost 300 miles to a gig. While at that gig, he got a call from the Apollo. The gig was in Florida, the Apollo in Harlem. He did not have enough money to fly to the Apollo. He had to win this competition, this comedy competition, to get the money to make it to Harlem. He won the exact amount he needed to win to purchase a plane ticket to fly to New York, where he met Jamie Foxx, who they had booed off a stage right before Steve went out. This man, who was the day before sitting in a bathroom stall with hand soap on his body, was following Jamie Foxx, a Academy Award winning Jamie Foxx, who got virtually booed off stage at the Apollo. Steve goes out there and kills and spends the next 8 years as the host of the Apollo, after which he gets his own show and more shows, and you see that the man is on television all day, everywhere in the world. The reason I share his story with you is that you may not ever get the chance to hear him tell it far better than I did, but I need you to understand that that feeling that you have where you think, damn, I just can't do this anymore. I feel like I'm getting, the closer, the more I do, the further I feel like I'm away. Well, just think of those mirrors that say objects in this mirror may be closer than they appear. You just looking in one of the wrong mirrors. You got to change your perspective. Just change your perspective. Thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate all of you. I really do. Thank you.
I am convinced that I go to the best institution there is. And I am honored to serve as your Mr. Fort Valley State University. As I look at you, I know that each and every one of you have gone through something in life, but you are here right now. What happens when your reality does not match your mental capacity? You have to keep working, keep going forward. You can sit here and leave the day and not take what was said and not use it and apply it to your life. But I challenge you from this day forward to take this, to go forward, to be bold, to be amazing, to be. God bless you.
Please give Dr. Perry another round of applause, please. We thank you, Dr. Perry, for that insightful lecture. Couple of housekeeping items. For those of you who are interested in going to the fair and obtaining those tickets, the Office of Campus Life has asked me to announce to you all that those tickets will be given out over at the new Student Center. Hold on. Listen. Before you exit, please exit orderly. We need to maintain crowd control.
Fort Valley State University, it's more than students, more than faculty, it's more than brick and mortar buildings or a sports team or a mascot. Fort Valley State University is belief in a dream and the promise of education and the ability to overcome adversity. Fort Valley State is believing in your own potential and knowing that your contributions on this earth make a difference. Fort Valley is opening your mind to new possibilities and embracing a world of change without fear. What is Fort Valley State University? It's It's not living in the past or being content with the present. It's all of us working together to be better tomorrow than we are today. We are strong. We are proud. We are determined. We are Fort Valley State University.